One of the big issue we have to beam our searchlight on is the fight against corruption. Quite frankly, the EFCC has been doing a whole lot concerning looking at the executive arm as well as the legislature. But the big question people have been asking is how well have we been able to beam our searchlight on the third arm of government, the judiciary? Joining us on phone to look at this corruption, alleged corruption in the judiciary, is Professor Itse Sagay, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Professor, good morning. A whole lot has been happening. People have been talking. And the news making the rounds is that about 5 judges are almost being, should I say, brought before the law. What do you have to say concerning this talk about corruption in the judiciary?
Yes. What's happening now is a necessary evil, if I may put it that way. As you rightly said, government has 3 major arms: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. And basically, the judiciary is established, monitor, and observe, and in fact, confirm or invalidate the actions of the other 2 arms. There is a presumption that the judiciary, the third arm, is above board, is above suspicion. It's made of men of integrity, of high principle. And it's the only arm of government in which people are specially trained to do the job they are doing. So when they themselves become corrupt, then the whole system of governance begins to break up, because there's nobody anymore to supervise and monitor the other arms to keep them on the straight and the narrow. So it's a very major breach of whether the manner government is set up, or what government is set up to do for the judiciary itself to be under probe. But what has happened in the last 5 years or so has shown that the judiciary has been completely penetrated by the corrupt elements in society, and judgments are being bought, and you have a case, particularly political cases, election cases. You cannot say, based on the law and the fact you have, that you are going to get a particular type of judgment. But it depends on how deep your pocket is. So it's destroyed, for me, it's destroying the whole system of governance when the credibility of the judiciary is in question. So what is happening now is sad, but most appropriate. It has to happen. The place needs cleansing so that we can start again.
They talk about this now, before now it's almost like speculation. People would just not want to believe that some of these people can be compromised, especially now you're talking about judgments being bought. We've seen some people complain and they say it is the hope of the common man. But if all of this has come to the fore now, people are a little bit worried. Don't you think that this might just erode the confidence that people have had or have in the judiciary?
Unfortunately, it has done that already. It's done that already. Confidence has fallen very sharply, and people go to court, particularly in the type of case I was talking about, because they have no other choice. They cannot pick a gun, a cutlass, and go and determine the case for themselves. So they have to go to court. But of course, many people say, well, we have no choice, but we know we cannot get justice. That is not a tenable system. That cannot work in any civilized society. So there is need for a major cleansing of the judiciary. They have been cocooned and protected for a long time. You know, for example, that no judge can be prosecuted or even taken to court for what he says or does whilst it's on the bench, whilst the court proceedings are on. So many things have been done to protect them, to cocoon them, in the belief that they form the purest arm of government and do not need to be distracted from doing the job for which they are known as the last hope of the common man. But obviously, that has collapsed.
One of the pluses of a democratic system is that it's supposed to be a system of checks and balances. In other words, you have the legislature checking both the executive, and sometimes the judiciary, and the judiciary resolving disputes between the executive and the legislature. Do you think that this checks and balance can still work here in helping to check what we now perceive as a rot in the judiciary?
No, unfortunately it's not. No, it's not working again. It's not working again in many ways because, as I said, the assumption was that we had the judiciary would be the adjudicator, the supervisor, the monitoring arm of government to ensure that both arms do what is correct. That's why the judiciary is given the power to declare whether an act of either the legislature or the executive is valid or invalid. But with what has been happening in recent years, and with confidence being lost in the judicial system, it has made their job as a supervising arm of government almost irrelevant. And nobody takes it. I'll give you an example of, well, although this may not have anything to do with corruption, but I'll give you an example, something very invidious that's happening these days. The National Assembly amended the Electoral Act, the provision in the Constitution, the provision on the Electoral Act in the Constitution, by providing a 180-day limit for all election cases and 60-day limit for appeals coming from such cases. Now, what happens next? Typical Nigerian ploy. If I rig an election, the next thing I do, knowing that you have only 180 days to conduct your case, is I stall the case. I stall it and stall it and stall it. Then after 180 days, the court simply says, sorry. Well, the rigger now brings an application to the effect that the court no longer has jurisdiction. And so, and what I've noticed is that they're so glad to say they have no jurisdiction. So it now goes from there to the Court of Appeal, and they're also glad to say they have no jurisdiction. Finally, it goes to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has consistently told that lie. Now, the effect of that is that you then, if you have a lot of money, you bribe the people at the first level and get away with it. The case is delayed up to 180 days. Your seat is secure, your governorship is secured, everything is secured, regardless of substance. That technicality is upheld right through. So your right to fair hearing is just thrown overboard. This is because of money that has passed hands at the lower level. In a more sophisticated and developed society, that provision in the Constitution will not be allowed to override the fair hearing provision, which is in the human rights section, a section that is superior to every other section of the Constitution. So these are some of the things we are going through, and these things are making us lose confidence in the judiciary, because you are rigged out of an election now, you know that's the end. It is the last bus stop. There's nowhere to go again.